Good evening, Steelers Nation. Welcome back to the Steel Curtain Call, a show here on YouTube dedicated completely to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I am your host. My name is Patrick. Thanks a lot for tuning in tonight, guys. And remember to help support the Steel Curtain Call, and you can do that by doing something very simple. All you got to do is hit that subscribe button here on our YouTube channel or hit like on our Facebook page, and that's going to make me happy because I need happiness in my life because I don't have an inch of it right now. Our recap show tonight's going to be very untraditional. It's going to be very unorthodox from what you usually see here on the Steel Curtain Calls recap shows. What we usually do, as you guys know if you followed long enough, is we usually do a super technical, very thorough, in-depth breakdown of the offense and the defense. And we're not going to do it that way tonight. It's going to be more of a brief overview, just sort of hit the high points type of thing. And we're doing that on purpose, and that is to create enough time to address the elephant in the room. And I think we all know what the elephant in the room is. Also, just to go ahead and say here at the beginning, this is as demoralized as I have felt in a very long time in the wake of a Pittsburgh Steelers loss. This game felt like a playoff loss. It felt like a Super Bowl loss. And I know maybe that's a dramatic thing to say, but that's what it felt like. To lose this football game the way we did and to have that emotional roller coaster of, going from the pinnacle of happiness to the depths of despair in like a couple short seconds was just too much for a human being to handle. So yeah, this is as bad as I felt about a loss in a very long time, and it's gonna take a while to recover from this one. Having said all that, let's just get right down to it. I want to start off by saying this, guys: come to your own conclusions, come to your own opinions. Don't let anybody else make your mind up for you. Don't make me your ultimate source of truth. Don't make anybody else your ultimate source of truth. Come to your own conclusions. Now, having said that, one of the things that's been very encouraging to see is that one thing we all appear to be agreeing on in unison is that this catching rule, is absolute and total garbage. I haven't seen one person supporting this rule, and that is because you cannot support this rule. It is idiotic, it is nonsensical, it's god-awful. There's no way to justify it. Not to mention the NFL sometimes calls it, and then other times they don't call it, as we'll talk about here on the show later on. This rule needs to go, and it needs to go as soon as humanly possible. So all of us appear to be agreeing on that, and that's good. But there seems to be two sets of opinions on what actually happened. Opinion number one is the opinion that I have, and that is that the Steelers got robbed, that the Steelers won this football game and got it taken right away by the National Football League. Jesse James caught that pass. That was a touchdown, and it should not have been overturned. That's my opinion. That's the side that I come down on. Side number two is that, look, we all sympathize with Jesse James. We all feel bad for the Steelers. It was unfortunate, but at the end of the day, according to the rules, it wasn't a catch. It was a good call on a bad rule. And hey, I want to be clear, man. If that's your opinion, then that's your opinion. That's fine. Hey, drop it below in the comments. That's why I created this show. One of the many reasons why I created this show. I want to talk to Steelers fans. I want to engage with you guys. So if that's your view on what happened, please drop it below in the comments. Let's have a discussion about it. But I will say this, I could not disagree with you more. Now, I'm not attacking you guys personally. If that's your opinion, I'm not attacking your opinion. I just disagree with it. I do not think this was a good call on bad rule. And I'm going to do everything in my power tonight to convince you guys otherwise. The other thing I want to say here from the onset is that a lot of people are going to watch this episode and say, Patrick, you're a Steelers fan, man. You're naturally biased. So, of course, you're going to cry foul and say that this game was taken from you by the cheating New England Patriots. Yes, I am a Steelers fan, and I am naturally biased towards the black and gold. I admit that I am. But tell you what, I thought long and hard about how I wanted to approach this show tonight, and I decided that I'm going to do everything I can to remove myself as a Steelers fan and just judge this game as a football critic and put this game, or put what happened, into the hands of the NFL. Let's look at their rules. Let's listen closely to their words, not mine, and we'll see who wins. Now, we all know what the NFL ruled on this play. Initially, they called a touchdown, but after reviewing, they said James did not secure the catch all the way to the ground. They said that the ball hit the ground, therefore it was an incomplete pass. Now, here is argument number one, and this is per league rules, like I said, removing myself. Per league rules, in order to overturn an already established call on the field, you have to have what you call conclusive evidence, indisputable evidence. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I know what 2 plus 2 is, and I'm going to assume a lot of you know what 2 plus 2 is. I'm a smart guy, okay? Did that ball touch the ground? The answer is probably yes, it did. When you go back and watch the replay, the way Jesse James extends and then when he goes down, you're going to see the ball wiggle and then you're going to see the ball kind of pop up a little bit. Like I said, guys, I know what 2 + 2 is. There's almost only one logical conclusion to come to. When a ball behaves like that, it's probably because it hit the ground. But ladies and gentlemen, when we're dealing with issues that are as sensitive as this, you cannot use words like probably and most likely or almost. No, you can't use terminology like that. There has to be cold, hard, conclusive evidence. I am issuing a challenge to any of you out there. You find me a camera angle where you saw turf and ball touching. Oh, sure, you might find one that's pretty dang close, but you will not find one where you see turf and ball meeting, actually touching. You can't do it. Whether it was the camera angle directly in front of Jesse James, whether it was the camera angle right from the side, or even the one slightly behind him, at no point did you ever see an actual footage of that ball and that turf touching. You did not have cold, hard, conclusive evidence to overturn this call. You didn't. Just because you saw the ball wiggle a little bit or pop up a little bit, you never saw ball and turf touch. So there is no evidence here. You can't overturn this. None of your camera angles said that happened. So NFL, you just contradicted your own rules. Argument number 2, and this is the argument of the show. This is the spotlight of the entire show. You tell your friends, tell your mom, your dad, your cousins, even if they don't watch football, you spread this like a wildfire. This is my biggest point in this entire show. Ladies and gentlemen, like I said, taking myself out of this as a biased Steelers fan and putting it into the hands of the National Football League, let's look at their rules. Now, what I'm about to read you, ladies and gentlemen, is Rule 11, and that Rule 11 is entitled Scoring. These are the rules on touchdowns. I am reading you now Rule number 11, Section 2, Article 1, Supplemental Note number 1. Yes, that's right. I've been doing my homework today. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to listen very closely to the words I'm about to read. And keep in mind, I'm not on a Pittsburgh Steelers fan blog right now. I'm on the NFL's actual website. I have their rule book pulled up right here. Listen very closely to the words that I'm about to read. The ball is automatically dead when it is in legal possession of a player and is on, above, or behind the opponent's goal line. I will read it again just in case you missed it. The ball is automatically dead when it is in legal possession of a player and is on, above, or behind the opponent's goal line. Folks, do you see the point that I'm trying to make? The whole argument about the ball touching the ground is a moot point. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. According to league rules, we see it right here. I just read it to you. When the ball is over the opponent's goal line, the play is dead. Sayonara, checkmate, good night, good morning. That's it. End of story. It doesn't matter whether or not the ball hit the ground or not. The play's dead. But let me ask you a question. Did you see that rule? That rule we just read you. Did you see that rule enforced? Nope. No, you did not. Ladies and gentlemen, according to what I just read you, this was a touchdown. This clearly has to be a touchdown. The ball broke the plane. It's over the goal line. The play's dead. This is clearly a touchdown. And by the way, while we're on the subject, something that I've wanted to rant about for a very long time, and now I have the perfect out to do it, is when the NFL talks about making a football move. It makes me laugh every time I hear them say, did the receiver make a football move? What in the world does that mean? And when you look at their definition of what a football move is, it doesn't make any sense. They almost can't even explain it. And as somebody who's watched football since I was 4, hey guys, I can't explain what it is either. Now, I highly doubt that Al Riveron, highly doubt that Mike Pereira or Roger Goodell or any of these other NFL executives watch my show. But let's just say I got lucky tonight. I have a question for you guys. Jesse James, how in the world can you say that what Jesse James did on this play was not considered a football move? Ladies and gentlemen, he did 4 different things. 4 different things on this play. Number 1, he catches football. Number 2, he drops to his knees. Number 3, he twists and turns his body. And number 4, he extends over the goal line. 4 different things that man just did. And we're not considering that a football move? Not to mention, ladies and gentlemen, he was never touched. It would be one thing if he catches ball, drops to knees, and Patriots jerseys just swarm him and they're touching all over his back to make sure he's down. No, he was untouched from the start. Also, ladies and gentlemen, please let this sink in for just a second. Did you know there are different rules for running backs and wide receivers in our league? If this were a running back, this would have been a touchdown. If this were a handoff to Le'Veon Bell and this is what happened and that ball sort of wiggled and hit the ground, wouldn't have mattered. Would not have mattered. This would have been called a touchdown. We have different rules for different positions right now. Oh, but it gets worse, ladies and gentlemen. Al Riveron, I just mentioned him. He is the executive vice president of officiating. He's kind of a big deal. Now, Al Riveron made a video and posted it on Twitter last night, and he was desperately trying to explain to people why the NFL did indeed get this call right. But, ladies and gentlemen, he opens up his statement by saying the following, quote, Ben Roethlisberger completes a pass to Jesse James, end quote. Al, this is your department, buddy, and here you are explaining why this was an incomplete pass, but you open up your statement by saying Ben Roethlisberger completed a pass. Which is it? And last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, has our league consistently enforce this rule? Well, let's look at some photographs, shall we? The photograph you are seeing on the screen right now is from yesterday's Green Bay Packers and Carolina Panthers game. Now, ladies and gentlemen, as you can clearly see on this photograph, you can see ball hitting turf. You can clearly see it. Not to mention the receivers, well, I don't know, kind of out of bounds at the same time. But guess what, guys? This was called complete. It was called a touchdown. And this next photograph you're seeing now is one that's been widely debated today as well in the wake of the Jesse James overturned catch. The Brandon Cooks touchdown against the Houston Texans at the last second to let them win that football game. Now, ladies and gentlemen, look very closely. Does Brandon Cooks have clear possession of that football? Can you kind of see the ball wiggling and coming out a little bit? The answer is yes, you can. You can. He does not secure possession all the way to the ground. But guess what, ladies and gentlemen? That was called a touchdown. Guys, if you want to know why ratings are down in football right now, if you want to know why tickets are selling at record lows, if you want to know why even old school traditional football fans are dropping like flies and they're not watching anymore, there's several reasons why, some of which we will not get into here on my show. But I'll tell you another big reason why ratings are down and ticket sales are down. It's because of this stuff right here. There are different rules for different players at different positions. Everything is relative. Everything is reviewed. Everything is up for debate. Rules that were once very basic and simple have now become rocket science. There are no absolutes anymore in the sport of football. There are none. Football is turning into something that we don't even recognize. These rules that they're implementing are destroying our game. And not to get too sentimental, not to get too sappy, but guys, I've been watching football since I was 4 years old. I'm 24 years old today. I'll be 25 in not too terribly long. And to see what is happening to our game, to me, is very sad. It's tragic. I mean, I hate everything about it. It actually makes me very, very sad. The game that I grew up loving and the game that I'm obsessed with, it's getting destroyed right now by little things like this. And as I said in a previous show, guys, I don't see this getting better anytime soon. If I'm being 100% honest with you, I just don't see things getting better. I don't see light at the end of the tunnel right now. If this right here is not considered a catch, then yeah, I don't know. I got nothing for you. Now, am I going to sit here today on my show and tell you that the Steelers lost this football game because of a blown call? Well, yes. Yes, I am. But I'm also not going to be 100% dishonest, because was this the only reason that we lost the football game? And the answer is no. No, this was not the only reason. You got to think about the next sequence of events after that play. And I'm mainly referring to the fake spike. Lord have mercy. What we had here was a failure by both the sideline and Ben Roethlisberger on this play. Now, my biggest beef is actually with the sideline. We'll get to Ben Roethlisberger here in a second, but my biggest beef was with Mike Tomlin, because it actually came out after the game that Ben Roethlisberger did not call this play. It also came out that Mike Tomlin did not, or excuse me, that Todd Haley did not call this play. They wanted to spike it. It was Mike Tomlin who shouted through the headset, "Don't spike it." Now, folks, I want you to think about this for a second. Mike Tomlin said after the game that the reason why they didn't want to spike it is they wanted to be aggressive and they wanted to play to win. Okay, Mike, I hear you, man. I hear you loud and clear, but that's a nonsensical statement. If you spike the football here, Mike, you have an opportunity to not only go for the win and take that last shot to the end zone. If it doesn't work out, you still have just a little bit of time on the clock to get Boswell in there and send that thing to overtime. You can have the best of both worlds here, Mike Tomlin. So I think the number one person to blame is the sideline there. But now let's talk about Ben Roethlisberger. Now, I'm going to sympathize with Ben Roethlisberger here. I'm going to critique the throw here in just a second, but you've got a feel for Ben here. Ben gets up to the line of scrimmage. He's about to spike it, and he hears in his helmet, "Don't spike, don't spike." Well, at that point, there's no other play drawn up. There's nothing else to do. So in a split second, he's got to make a quick little motion to Eli Rogers to run a slant and do a fake spike, and we'll somehow figure this thing out. I felt very bad for Roethlisberger in this situation. But here's the problem. If you're going to do a fake spike, if you're going to do a fake play, you have to give the illusion that it's a fake. Ben does the fake spike, okay? And then he pumps the football 5 different times to Eli Rogers as he's running the slant. At that point, the Patriots, they know. They've seen you pump fake 5 times. They clearly know what you're doing now. And Ben throws it anyway. Ben throws the ball into about 5 different defenders, and it's intercepted, and the game is over. Ben, here's the thing, bud. I totally sympathize with you that you were not prepared, that there was nothing else drawn up. I'm on your side here, bud. But, Ben, you're a 14-year NFL veteran. You're a 2-time Super Bowl champion. You got to chunk that thing away. Throw it into the stands if there's nothing there. Ben has been in this league too long to know that you don't throw an inside slant into quadruple coverage. Not to mention, Ben, this is not Antonio Brown. This is Eli Rogers. So it's like I said, my main complaint is with the sideline for not just letting Ben spike that ball, because like I said, you had enough time to have the best of both worlds. You had enough time to spike, maybe quick shot, maybe quick little back fade, quick strike, and if it didn't work out, you still had enough time to get Boswell in there. But you got to blame Roethlisberger too. You've been in the league too long to make that decision. Just throw the football away, man. But all in all, guys, my take on the offensive performance is this. I am actually very proud of this offense. Guys, here's what you have to realize when it's all said and done and when the smoke clears. The Pittsburgh Steelers were good enough to beat the New England Patriots without Antonio Brown. And we'll talk about Antonio Brown's injury here in a second, but one of the things I talked about on the preview show is, and I promise I'm not a prophet, I did not foresee this happening. I just simply said that if something is to happen to guys like AB, the Steelers are going to have other guys step up. I promise I didn't know that he was going to tear his calf muscle. But we did talk about how if something happened, they're going to need other guys to step up, and that's exactly what happened in this game. Martavis Bryant was massive in this game. Guys, the beautiful one-handed grab, the touchdown grab, that was absolutely sensational. He also caught a deep ball down the sideline, which we've been waiting for him to do all year, so Martavis Bryant deserves a lot of credit. And what about Juju Smith-Schuster? That 69-yard catch and run there at the end to get us down to the New England 10-yard line to give us a chance to win. Wow. Eli Rogers stepped up in a big way in this game, especially on that opening touchdown. Le'Veon Bell was tremendous. He averaged 4.9 yards per carry, went over 120 yards rushing on the day, caught the ball for like 50-something yards as well. He was massive. And despite that horrible decision at the end of the game, Ben Roethlisberger played an exceptional game. Also, guys, the Steelers were 10 of 16 on third downs. 10 of 16. It's like I said, guys, at the end of the day, the Pittsburgh Steelers offense played well enough without Antonio Brown, without the league MVP, if I could say. Without him, they were good enough to beat the New England Patriots. They were. So, like I said, wasn't perfect. There was even some times where I thought the overall play calling on some of these drives was very unaggressive. There was a couple of decisions where they would run on some second down situations, and I thought it makes more sense if you pass there. Todd Haley deserves a little bit of criticism there, but to lose Antonio Brown like he did and still come out and have a performance like this, hats off to the offense. Now, to mention Antonio Brown, when he went down, I was absolutely horrified, and then to see him limp off the field and not even put pressure on that leg, then to hear that he was rushed to the hospital, wow. Especially with what's just happened with Ryan Shazier, you know, that's the last thing that you want to hear at that moment, that AB has been rushed to the hospital. Antonio Brown has a partially torn calf muscle. The key word there is partially torn. It's not that bad of a tear at all. He is projected to miss the rest of the regular season. I would certainly hope he does not play in these next 2 games. He is not expected to miss any playoff time whatsoever. So the Steelers dodge a major bullet here. It's unfortunate because, you know, once again, we had another game where Bell, Ben, Brown weren't able to finish together, but it could have been a lot worse. At least it wasn't a complete tear, and at least he's going to be back for the playoffs. And that's, at this moment, that's really all that matters. So Steelers dodge a bullet. Moving on to the defensive side of the football. I'm going to say something that is probably very unpopular. Most people probably don't feel this way, but it's just kind of how I feel personally. Guys, I'm proud of this defense. To be completely honest, it actually was extremely surprising to me. Now, I'm also not ignorant. I watched the same exact football game that you guys did. Rob Gronkowski, yeah. One man shredded an 11 personnel defense. The drive with the Patriots went up 27-24. They went down and scored in 5 plays for 77 yards. Guys, Rob Gronkowski on that drive, guys, had 3 catches for 68 yards. 3 catches for 68 yards, and then to top it all off, he catches a 2-point conversion as well. One man, in the course of just a single drive, one man shredded, and I mean shredded, an 11 personnel defense. It was just an absolutely incredible thing to watch. We had no answer at all for Rob Gronkowski. And am I going to sit here and say that that drive had nothing to do with the outcome of the football game? No, it clearly had something to do with the outcome of the football game. It clearly was one of the biggest reasons why we lost this football game. We let one man destroy us there on that drive. And I know what you guys are probably thinking. Oh, Patrick's about to go ham on Sean Davis. He's about to go ham on this defense. Nope, actually not, surprisingly. Guys, please don't take to your social medias to grill Sean Davis and say that he's trash and he's terrible. Guys, do you really think Sean Davis is capable of guarding Rob Gronkowski? If you say yes, then you're insane. And here's the biggest reason why I'm actually not that mad at the Steelers' defense in this game, because the reality is, guys, we don't have anybody that's capable of guarding Rob Gronkowski. We don't. The only guy who I think we have that could have maybe given him a run for his money is Ryan Shazier, but next man up. Ryan Shazier is not available right now. You take Ryan Shazier out of this equation and you look at this defense, who in the world on this defense has the physical traits to guard and contain Rob Gronkowski? We don't, and it's most certainly not Sean Davis. He was just the best option we had. So yes, I'm not trying to minimize that drive where he caught 68 yards on 3 catches. I'm not trying to say that that wasn't a reason that we lost the football game. It clearly was, but guys, we don't have anybody that can contain Gronk, so I'm actually not going to get that mad. At the end of the day, guys, you have to ask yourself an honest question about this defense. Number one, did they play better than you expected? All of us in unison should say, yes, 100%. I thought the Patriots would score close to 40 points. They didn't score over 30. They didn't even reach 30. The second question you'd have to ask yourself is, did the Steelers' defense do enough? Did they do enough in this game to give the offense a chance to win the football game? The answer is yes, they did. First off, I want to start with Keith Butler. What a wonderfully, wonderfully coached game by Keith Butler. His defensive game plan, I thought, was absolutely excellent. I thought he threw stuff at the Patriots all night long that they weren't expecting. First off, man-to-man coverage. Guys, you can say whatever you want. Our man-to-man coverage was great in this game. It worked. We proved we could play it. Was it perfect? No. Did we give up some plays here and there? Yes, we did. But guys, you can't say that we didn't stick close to receivers. You can't say that we didn't force Tom Brady to throw into some tight windows, because we did. Our man-to-man coverage worked very good in this game. What about pressure? The Steelers were able to get pretty good pressure on Brady consistently throughout the game. Yes, we only sacked Brady twice on the day, but guys, we probably should have come away with at least 3 or 4. There were 2 other ones I can think of off the top of my head where we almost had him wrapped up. So from a pressure standpoint, I thought we had a pretty solid game. Oh, and by the way, the pressure came predominantly with 3 and 4 guys. And what about turnovers? Guys, if you're going to play the New England Patriots, if you're going to play Tom Brady, you've got to somehow, some way get the ball away from him. You have somehow got to get takeaways. We did that in this game. Thanks to a tip ball at the line of scrimmage by Cameron Hayward, Vince Williams comes down with an interception. So we got Brady to turn the ball over. And kind of going back to Keith Butler, one thing that I thought he did exceptionally well in this game was disguising his pressure. You know, Tom Brady is so good. If he can identify the type of pressure that you're about to bring and where it's coming from, he'll call an audible at the line of scrimmage and you're doomed. I thought he did a great job in this game of sending pressure from all kinds of places on the field that Brady was not expecting. Another thing that I think he did extremely well, he also threw in a lot of dime sub-packages in this game. That's another thing that I think threw the Patriots offense off at times. You don't see the Steelers play a lot of dime. That's just a sub-package we don't see a whole lot. Once again, guys, I'm not trying to make the defensive performance in this game sound like the 85 Bears, because it wasn't. Like I said, I admit, like everybody else out there today, that drive where Gronk caught 3 catches for 68 yards and then caught the 2-point conversion, yes, it was awful. It was horrendous. It was one of the big reasons why we lost. But when you think about the personnel that we have, and then you consider the fact that we got good pressure, that we got Tom Brady to turn the football over. Guys, I'm sorry, the defensive performance was not as bad as we thought it was going to be. It just wasn't. And at the end of the day, guys, you got to ask yourself an honest question. Did the Steelers do enough to win the football game? Did the offense do enough to win the game? They clearly did. We just had the game ripped away from us. And did the defense do enough to win this football game as well? Yes, they did. The Steelers did enough to beat the New England Patriots on Sunday. We were a better team than the New England Patriots on Sunday. We were. That's just the facts. If there's one thing to be encouraged about, I guess it's that right there. It's that we finally did. We were able to finally get over our kryptonite, and we did it without Antonio Brown. But it's still depressing nonetheless. And this game puts us in a very hairy situation with the playoffs. Now, obviously, we're already in. We've already clinched a berth. We've already clinched the AFC North. But guys, here's something that you got to realize. The number 2 spot is not locked up. The Jacksonville Jaguars have a very, very, very easy remaining schedule. And hey, so do we. We have to play the Houston Texans next, and then we play the Cleveland Browns last game of the season. So winning out should not be an issue for this team. But the thing is this, if we lose another game and they win out, they are the number 2 seed. Not us, because they would own the tiebreaker. So if you think that the NFL, screwing over the Steelers in this game didn't really have that bad of consequences, it kind of did. I mean, this now creates kind of a whole nother set of events. But the Steelers do indeed control their own destiny. All we have to do is win out, and we've got the number 2 spot. And also, the Patriots have an easy schedule as well. The likelihood is that they are going to win out and they'll take the number 1 seed. But the number 1 seed is not impossible to obtain, because if the Patriots do indeed lose at least one of their final 2 games and we win out, then we get the number 1 seed back. But the bottom line is this. We don't need to lose the rest of our games. We need to win out. We don't want to drop down there to the number 3 spot and then have Jacksonville be ahead of us, because then, yeah, that becomes a whole nother problem. But as of right now, it looks like the path to the Super Bowl is going to go through Foxborough, Massachusetts yet again. We all know that it should be going through Heinz Field, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, but as Mike Tomlin said after the game, it is what it is. We can't cry over spilled milk. Anyway, guys, that's it. That's all I have to say. That's my recap. This one's tough. It's depressing. It's going to be hard to get over this one, but we'll find a way. We're the Pittsburgh Steelers. We're resilient. We always do. But yeah, just hate that it had to be like this. It's not that we lost the game. I would have been willing to accept that this was just, if we lost fair and square, I'd be willing to swallow that. No problem. Tough, but, just a good physical, hard-fought game by both teams. But that's not what happened. We had the NFL take a victory away from us. And, I'm not getting over it anytime soon. But anyway, it is what it is. All right, guys, we'll be back here on either Wednesday or Thursday night, most likely Wednesday, because I'm going to have a busy Thursday and Friday. I'm actually going to be out of town to go down and see some friends in the great state of Florida for Christmas. But yeah, we'll be back here on Wednesday or Thursday previewing the Houston Texans. Until then, guys, keep your heads up. Try to keep your heads up. We were good enough to beat the Patriots. If there's nothing else that you remember, just try to remember that. And, we'll be back here on Wednesday night. Until then, here we go, Steelers. Good night, guys.